On July 30th, 1975, a man vanished from the face of the earth. Jimmy Hoffa, the once powerful labor leader, disappeared without a trace. Despite decades of investigations, theories, and countless suspects, the mystery of his disappearance remains unsolved, and to this day, Hoffa's fate continues to haunt us. This is the story of the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, mob ties, labor politics, and a shadowy mystery that endures. Born in 1913, James Riddle Hoffa quickly rose through the ranks to become one of the most influential figures in American labor history. As the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, IBT, Hoffa's power was unmatched. His ability to rally workers and influence national politics made him a key figure in the fight for workers' rights. However, Hoffa's success came at a cost. Behind his public image as a champion of workers' rights, Hoffa was deeply entangled with organized crime syndicates. His relationship with the mob, specifically with figures like the infamous mobster Tony Jack Giacalone, and the Detroit Mafia, would eventually lead to his mysterious disappearance. The last time Jimmy Hoffa was seen was on the afternoon of July 30th, 1975. He had made plans to meet two men, Tony Giacalone and another mobster, Anthony "Tony" Provenzano, at the Machu's Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Hoffa was hoping to resolve a long-standing feud with Provenzano, who was a union official from New Jersey. But when Hoffa arrived, neither Giacalone nor Provenzano were there. Hoffa was last seen waiting in the restaurant's parking lot, a man in a suit, standing alone, waiting for answers that would never come. After Hoffa's scheduled meeting, he simply vanished. His car was left parked in the lot, with the keys still inside, and Hoffa was never seen again. No witnesses, no evidence, just an eerie silence. Immediately after Hoffa's disappearance, the theories began to emerge. How could a man so powerful, so well-known, simply vanish? Was he a victim of foul play? And if so, who was responsible? As time passed, several competing theories began to dominate the investigation into Hoffa's disappearance. One of the earliest theories revolved around the Mafia, particularly the Detroit Mafia. Hoffa's relationships with mobsters like Tony Giacalone and Anthony Provenzano were well documented, and many believe that his ties to organized crime were a key factor in his disappearance. Some speculated that Hoffa was about to expose mob connections within the union, which may have made him a target. Jimmy Hoffa's association with the Mafia was no secret. In fact, Hoffa's rise to power in the Teamsters was inextricably linked to his dealings with organized crime. The Mafia had long been involved in union affairs, using their influence to control labor unions for their own financial gain. Hoffa's union had extensive ties to various organized crime syndicates, and it's widely believed that Hoffa's control over the union had become a lucrative enterprise for mobsters. The Teamsters Pension Fund, in particular, was said to be funneled into various criminal ventures, and Hoffa had made numerous enemies, both inside and outside the union. Hoffa's ties with the mob were well known, but he was also a man of power. At some point, that power threatened the very people he worked with. Hoffa was seen as a man who would stop at nothing to regain control of the Teamsters, even if it meant exposing criminal activities. And that was a dangerous game to play. Over the years, many theories have emerged regarding Hoffa's fate. The most popular theory, one that persists to this day, suggests that Hoffa was murdered by members of the Mafia who saw him as a liability. But where is his body? Some believe Hoffa's body was disposed of in a secluded location, such as a farm or a construction site. Others argue that he was cremated, his remains scattered in a way that would make them impossible to recover. We investigated numerous locations, farms, warehouses, and even mob-owned properties, but we never found concrete evidence of his remains. The more we investigated, the more elusive Hoffa's disappearance became. Despite extensive investigations by the FBI, local authorities, and even private detectives, no physical evidence was ever found to link Hoffa's disappearance to a particular suspect or location. The case, though filled with clues and theories, remains unsolved. And over the years, the public's fascination with Hoffa's disappearance only grew. The fact that Hoffa vanished without a trace has left many wondering if the truth will ever come to light. But even more perplexing is the lack of answers surrounding the case. Despite years of intense investigation, the evidence simply isn't there. Over the years, new leads and rumors have continued to surface, with many individuals coming forward with claims of having information about Hoffa's disappearance. However, despite extensive searches and fresh inquiries, no concrete answers have emerged. Every year, new information comes out, and with it, new theories. But despite all the research, the fact remains, Hoffa's fate is still one of the most puzzling mysteries in American history. Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance has left a lasting legacy. His name has become synonymous with intrigue, corruption, and organized crime, and the mystery surrounding his vanishing continues to captivate the world. While the truth may never be fully known, Hoffa's story remains one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century. Was Hoffa a victim of his own ambition? Or was he silenced by those he had once trusted? The search for answers continues, and the mystery of Jimmy Hoffa endures. Thank you for joining us as we delve into the mystery of Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling, unsolved mysteries. And remember, some stories may never have a clear answer, but they remain etched in our minds forever. Late-night drives on dark, isolated roads. The air thick with tension. You hear a scrape on the window, and before you know it, you're caught in the grip of fear. This is the setting for one of the most well-known and terrifying urban legends of all time, the story of the Hookman. The Hookman is a tale that has circulated for decades, passed down through the generations, and told around campfires, sleepovers, and late-night conversations. It's a story that has everything: suspense, mystery, fear, and the chilling possibility that it could happen to you. But what is the true story behind the Hookman urban legend? Is it simply a frightening tale created to scare people? Or is there more to it than meets the eye? Join us as we uncover the origins of the Hookman legend, the terrifying encounters, and the theories that surround this notorious urban legend. The origins of the Hookman legend are not entirely clear, but the story is believed to have emerged in the 1950s and 1960s in the United States. The tale at its core tells of a young couple driving through a desolate, isolated area, usually a quiet road or remote parking spot, when they are terrorized by a mysterious figure. The figure, known as the Hookman, is described as a dangerous, often deformed man with a hook for a hand. The couple typically hears a warning on the radio or from the news about an escaped criminal or murderer who is on the loose. As the night wears on, the couple starts to hear strange noises around their car. They brush it off at first, thinking it's just the wind or some random noise, but then they hear something that sounds like a scraping noise, the sound of a hook dragging across metal. The tension builds, and the couple is forced to flee. The real horror, however, comes when they return home. They discover a gruesome detail. The Hookman's hook is still attached to the door of their car, and the maniac is nowhere to be found. This basic structure of the story has been repeated in many variations over the years, with slight changes to fit the location or the people involved, but the central theme remains constant: a terrifying encounter with a madman who has a hook for a hand. Over the years, the Hookman legend has evolved into a number of different versions, but each version shares similar elements. In some variations, the story takes place at a lover's lane or secluded parking spot where a young couple are making out when the eerie events unfold. In other versions, the story is about a lone driver or a family who encounter the Hookman while driving down a dark and dangerous road. One of the most common elements across all the variations of the story is the figure of the Hookman himself. Often described as a terrifying, disfigured man with a hook for a hand, the Hookman is a terrifying presence who stalks his victims and then disappears just as quickly as he appeared. Some tellings of the legend depict the Hookman as an escaped convict, while others claim that he's simply a vengeful ghost or a crazed, murderous man who has been lurking in the shadows for years. Other variations add supernatural elements to the story, suggesting that the Hookman is a ghost or spirit of a murdered man still seeking revenge from beyond the grave. Some versions of the legend even suggest that the Hookman's hook is cursed, or that it has supernatural powers of its own, capable of inflicting pain or death on anyone who crosses his path. But no matter the version, the terrifying threat of the Hookman remains constant, an unstoppable force of violence and fear, lurking just beyond the safety of the car door. Though the Hookman legend is widely considered an urban myth, there are some who believe that there may be a real-life connection to the story. In fact, many theories have been put forward that suggest the Hookman tale may have been inspired by actual events or real-life crimes. Some have speculated that the Hookman story could be based on the notorious serial killer Albert Fish, a man who was active during the early 1900s and was known for his gruesome and horrific crimes. Fish, who was known as the Gray Man or the Werewolf of Wisteria, was infamous for his cannibalistic tendencies, his sadistic nature, and his gruesome methods of torture. He was said to have used hooks as a tool for his killings, which may have inspired the hook-wielding maniac that became the focal point of the legend. Other theories suggest that the Hookman legend may be tied to the rise of urban legends and cautionary tales about dangerous strangers and killers that were becoming popular in the mid-20th century. These stories served as both entertainment and as warnings to the public about the dangers lurking in the world, especially in isolated or vulnerable locations like lovers' lanes or deserted roads. The truth is, the origins of the Hookman story are likely a mixture of several different influences, from real-life criminals and mysterious events to the need for society to create terrifying myths to explain the unknown. Why has the Hookman legend endured for so many years? What is it about this tale that continues to captivate us and make us shudder with fear, even though we know it's just a story? One theory is that the Hookman myth plays on our primal fears of the unknown, of isolation, and of being vulnerable to attack when we least expect it. It taps into the deep, instinctual fear of being in an unfamiliar or unsafe place, particularly at night when we are most vulnerable. The legend plays on our fear of strangers, of the possibility that danger could be lurking just beyond the shadows, waiting to strike when we let our guard down. The idea of the Hookman also reflects the fear of losing control and being at the mercy of an unstoppable force. The character of the Hookman, who's often described as a faceless, monstrous figure, represents an uncontrollable threat, a force that cannot be reasoned with or escaped from. It's the fear of the unknown and the belief that evil can strike when we least expect it, something we can all relate to on a deep, subconscious level. Additionally, the story of the Hookman is often told as a cautionary tale for young people, especially teenagers, warning them about the dangers of venturing into risky situations or wandering into isolated places. The story often involves a young couple, and its plot reinforces the idea that reckless behavior can lead to dangerous consequences. Though the Hookman may have begun as a cautionary tale, it has grown into one of the most enduring urban legends of all time. The legend of the Hookman continues to be passed down from generation to generation, retold by children and adults alike. It has even been adapted into movies, TV shows, and books, further cementing its place in modern folklore. In fact, the Hookman story has transcended its origins as a simple urban legend. Over the years, the legend has inspired countless variations, adaptations, and even internet memes. From horror movies to true crime documentaries, the Hookman has become a symbol of fear, mystery, and danger. And even though the story is just that, a story, there are still people who believe that it's more than just a myth. Across the United States, people have reported strange, unexplained events that they attribute to the Hookman legend. There are occasional reports of eerie sightings, disturbing noises, or encounters with menacing figures in desolate areas. Though it's difficult to separate fact from fiction, the Hookman remains an enduring and unsettling presence in popular culture. The story of the Hookman has all the ingredients of a perfect urban legend: terror, mystery, and the possibility that it could happen to anyone. It taps into our deepest fears and plays on the human instinct to stay safe, to avoid danger, and to be cautious of the unknown. While the truth behind the Hookman remains shrouded in mystery, the enduring nature of the story speaks to its power as a symbol of fear, caution, and the dark unknown. The next time you hear a strange noise outside your window or see an unfamiliar shadow moving in the distance, you may wonder, could the Hookman be close by? Or perhaps, like most legends, the Hookman will remain just that, a chilling story that lives on to remind us of the dangers that might lurk in the dark, ready to strike when we least expect it.